Excellencies, distinguished delegates, and the fellow panelists. At the outset, I would like to thank the OSCHR for inviting me to speak at the social forum. Unfortunately, I cannot be there in person, so I'm sharing my remarks at this session through this video message. My focus in this intervention is on how we can leverage trade to ensure inclusive and sustainable development. Often we see trade as an end in itself, and I will strongly encourage that all the states and the policymakers and other UN agencies should start thinking about trade merely as a means. And ultimately, the trade should benefit each and everyone, and it should ensure that the ecosystem, the environment, the climate crisis is not worsened because of the trade. From this particular approach of trade, we have to look at the current challenges that we are experiencing in the world, and especially from the perspective of developing countries in the world. We have seen in the recent times a significant number of conflicts, and those conflicts are disrupting fair and equitable trade. We have also seen the impact of climate change, because trade can also worsen the negative impact on the climate and the entire ecosystem of the environment. In addition, we have seen in the recent years the protective measures adopted by certain states because of populism or the political reasons at the domestic front. So imposition of those tariffs and barriers, which are driven not by legitimate considerations, may also harm and in fact exclude certain countries from participating in the global trade regime. And of course, the trade system has created a lot of inequalities. We have not seen equal and equitable benefits within countries as well as among countries. And I think that is where we should think and reimagine the international trade going forward. This reimagination should take several aspects, and I will highlight 4 of these aspects for your consideration. The first aspect is we need fair rules in international trade. What we have seen is that landlocked countries, LDCs, and SIDS, small island countries, they are definitely suffering because their share in the international trade is very limited. So not everyone is able to benefit from this globalized trade regime. So the rules of the game have to change in a way that certain countries who face inherent disadvantages in the international trade regime, they have protective measures to ensure their full participation in the international trade. The second suggestion that I have is that we should see trade not in isolation. Of course, in the international governance system, we have different systems. We have WTO dealing with trade. We have UN system, which is dealing with a range of issues from human rights to climate change, environment, so on and so forth. So what I would like to see is that the trade is not in compartment. Rather, the trade is trying to ensure inclusive growth and sustainable growth, and it is not leaving anyone behind. That is where, whether these are the bilateral trade agreements or regional agreements or even the WTO agreements, they have to integrate human rights considerations, labor right considerations, issues about environment and climate change as part of trade negotiation. At the same time, it is very crucial that human rights and labor standards are not used by certain developed countries as a protective measure. And I think that is where it is important that the multilateral negotiations are done in good faith, and promotion of human rights is a legitimate consideration, but it is not used to create some disadvantages for certain countries. The third thing that I would like to propose is that often certain countries in the global south, they are suffering because of trade, and that trade is creating let us say toxic environment for them, and that is happening often because illegal things, illegal dumping of toxic substances happening. Plastic is getting exported to the global south, and a lot of environmental pollution is being exported to the global south. So we have to consider that the trade regime is not creating those unfairness in the system. And my final and the fourth point is about dispute settlement. We definitely need a more fair and effective system to resolve disputes whenever there are disputes between two countries in relation to trade. At some point of time, WTO system of dispute settlement was providing hope, but then in the recent years we have seen that the system is not working for a variety of reasons. So we need to reimagine a dispute system which is fair for everyone, is promoting a right to development of people everywhere, especially in developing economies of the world. So I very much hope the discussion at this panel, the social forum, will bring those considerations together for policymakers and other stakeholders. And going forward, we start using international trade in a way that it promotes the right to development of each and every human being everywhere. Thank you very much for your kind attention.